You know that feeling, right? You spend hours, maybe even days, trying to learn something new, a language, a new skill for work, and then, a week later, it's just gone, vanished. So how do we make new information actually stick in our brains?
Seriously, why do we forget so much of what we learn? I mean, imagine someone told you to learn 250 new words or phrases. It feels impossible. It's kind of like pouring water into a bucket that's full of holes. Most of it just seems to drain right out. But what if I told you there's a much, much better way?
Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to break down an absolute masterclass in memorable learning. We're diving into a video from Speak English with Vanessa, where she teaches 250 English expressions. And trust me, it's not just some boring list of words. It's a brilliant look at how our brains are actually wired to learn and remember things for good.
Okay, so let's jump into the first pillar, learning in clusters. The big idea here is simple but so powerful. Context is king. Our brains, you see, they really don't like random, disconnected bits of information. They crave patterns. They love seeing how things are related.
Just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got this random list. Bee, cat, beach, diet. Your brain kind of stalls, right? It's working overtime trying to find a connection. But then look at the right. Comfort food, fine dining, junk food. Bam! Instantly, your brain gets it. It creates this little mental map, and everything just clicks into place. It makes sense.
And this is precisely the magic behind Vanessa's method. She doesn't just throw 250 words at you and hope for the best. Nope, she organizes them into these really logical, intuitive categories: meals and food, scenery, vacation, animals, and hobbies. Each group becomes its own little mental container, which makes all the information inside so much easier to find and pull out later.
All right, let's move on to the second pillar because this is where things get really, really cool. Stories make words stick. This is all about creating an emotional connection with what you're learning. Think about it. Facts and figures are easy to forget, but a good story stays with you.
And this is totally intentional. It's a deliberate teaching strategy. Vanessa says it herself right here. I'm excited to share them with you and give you a little window into Vanessa's life. See, she's not just giving you vocabulary. She's inviting you into her world, and that changes everything. So here's how she does it. You're not just learning the word hike. You're actually seeing a photo of her son and husband on a mountain trail. You're not just memorizing the word vacation. You're hearing about her family's amazing trip to Costa Rica. She even tells this incredible story about fostering puppies to help her son get over his fear of dogs. Suddenly, these aren't just words on a screen anymore. They're memories. They have feeling.
This breaks down the psychology of it perfectly. First, you see a personal photo. Then, you hear a little story, an anecdote. And only then do you learn the vocabulary. That sequence creates a powerful emotional anchor, turning some abstract word into a real, concrete memory. It's just brilliant.
Okay, on to our third and final pillar. This is where we go from just being fluent to becoming truly artistic with language. It's all about unlocking the metaphor. This is a fantastic technique where you take simple, concrete things that everybody understands and use them as a launch pad to teach really complex figurative ideas.
We're talking about idioms. You know, those tricky phrases where the meaning has nothing to do with the actual words being said, like when someone says it's raining cats and dogs. Learning these can be a real headache unless you have the right anchor.
This is a perfect example. On the left, a mountain is just, well, a mountain. A big lump of rock. Super simple. But look what happens on the right. That one concrete thing unlocks these powerful abstract ideas. You can move mountains means you can do the impossible. Or he was a mountain of a man means he was strong and influential. You're using something you know to understand something you don't.
Here's another great one. Vanessa first makes sure we're all picturing the actual ocean tide. We can see it in our minds. So when she introduces the phrase, "the tide has changed," our brain instantly connects it to that powerful visual of a massive shift. The metaphorical meaning, a big change in fortune or luck, just clicks.
And remember those personal stories we talked about? Here's where it all comes together. By telling us a little story about her actual cat, Pippin, an idiom like "curiosity killed the cat" becomes more than just a weird old saying. It has a visual, an emotional hook, which makes it way easier to remember what it means. You know, a warning against being too nosy.
And she does it again when she talks about life in a small town. She paints this picture of a place where everyone knows everyone, and then, boom, she introduces this beautiful idiom for how rumors spread.
I heard it through the grapevine. The context she builds makes the idiom come alive.
So, after all that, what's the real takeaway here? Well, the lesson isn't really just about learning English. It's much bigger than that. It's about how we learn, teach, and communicate anything, really.
So here it is, your new toolkit for making anything stick. First, group things by theme so your brain can build a map. Second, tell a story to create an emotional anchor. And third, use a metaphor to connect what people already know to what you want them to learn. This works for everything: studying for a test, giving a big presentation, you name it.
Because at the end of the day, the secret isn't about brute force memorization. It's about connection. It's all about building these strong bridges between new information and what we already know, what we feel, and what we understand. That is how real, lasting learning actually happens. So I'll leave you with this question. What will you learn next? And how will you do it differently? Not by memorizing, but by connecting. What maps, stories, and metaphors are you going to use to make it truly stick?